All right, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Let's Have Lunch. This afternoon, we have with us two very energetic individuals from the Delaware County Technical Schools to talk about their program and how businesses can get more engaged with them. So before we get started, I want to remind everybody that is on the webinar watching live, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we will have them addressed at the end. And now I would love to introduce Rachel Cotton from the Delaware County Technical Schools. Rachel.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel Cotton. I'm the Community Resource Developer and Perkins Grant Coordinator. So a little bit about my job is that I actually do three major things. Social media, recruitment, and grant writing. So grant writing, I deal with the Perkins grant that gets us new industry certifications and new equipment all the time for our students to remain updated on the new technology. I do social media, and at the end of our presentation, I will have a slide that'll share all of our social media handles so you can follow and see what our students are up to on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, I do recruitment. So I love to talk a lot. I get to visit the different high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools and talk to our students about the awesome opportunities they have at this school. Joining me in this presentation is Chris Marshall, and I'm going to pass it off to her. And I'm going to start sharing my screen right now.
Hi, I'm Chris Marshall, and I've been with DCTS since 2005. My job, I am the School to Career Coordinator or the Cooperative Education Coordinator. And what I do is I place students in jobs that are related to whatever they're learning in the classroom. I found it's been a very, very rewarding job to be able to help students, especially with their first career. Just some background on myself. I went to Millersville University. I got my degree in elementary education. I taught for a few years, and I quickly discovered that I really love little ones in small doses, not a full classroom full of them. So I always wanted to teach at the high school level, but before that happened, I worked my way into business and industry, worked different jobs. The job that I had before I came to DCTS is I was payroll manager at Wawa Corporate. They had a really nice program where you could go back to school and they would pay 100% of your tuition. So I went to Newman University. I got my master's in strategic leadership, which is really a fancy name for a management degree. And then this job opened up at the technical school doing co-op. And I thought, oh, I really wanted to work with high school students, understand how business and industry works. I think this might be a good fit. So this is the job that I wound up in. This is the job that I've been at the longest. And I really enjoy what I do.
Great. Can everyone see my screen?
I can see
You can see it?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to briefly talk to you about our School to Career program. I'm going to go back into it in more depth later. The purpose of this presentation is we want to talk to business and industries and talk to you about how we can partner with you. But also being out there, and talking to people in the real world, there's a problem. A lot of people don't know what we do. They associate the technical schools with trades, which is true. We still do the trades, but there's many, many other things that we do. So that's where Rachel's going to come in. She's going to talk to you about some other programs that we do. And we're kind of the unknown secret in Delaware County. So the hope behind this presentation, is so people in Delaware County become more familiar with what we do at Delaware County Technical School. So just quickly, School to Career programs, there's three things that we offer: shadowing, mentoring, and cooperative education. I'm not going to read through all these, but co-op is an experience that most students want to do because they are able to be paid. We also have some other opportunities for business and industry. We welcome you as guest speakers. We'd love to have human resources folks talk to our students, just to get an idea of what they look for when someone is doing an interview. That's very helpful to students. We love to talk to supervisors of business and industry because they can kind of share their stories with the students as far as, what did they do to get where they are. So that's very helpful for our students. And also we found that sometimes students listen better to other students. So we love to get in touch with our recent graduates and have them come back as guest speakers. So we want you to know the reason that we invited business and industry is because there are things that we can do to help you out also. Besides you helping our students, It's a two-way street. It becomes a good relationship. And I will talk to you a little bit further in the presentation about how we can work with you, and form a great relationship with the school and also your business. But in the meantime, Rachel's going to talk to you a little bit more about what we do here at DCTS.
Thank you so much, Chris. So we have two campuses, one in Aston and one in Fallcroft. Both of them have different programs. Both campuses do offer culinary and cosmetology. Those are the only two programs that are offered at both campuses. But we have 21 different programs, and I'm going to briefly go through all of them. But we have 5 schools that we break all of those 21 programs down into. And these are the schools listed right here, and we'll go through them with each school individually. But this is created by the National Career Cluster Framework, and this is where we kind of break everything down to similarities. A lot of the same have different certifications and things like that. One thing that we offer to all of our students, no matter what program they're in, is OSHA, which is your basic safety course. Every student gets OSHA certified with their first year of joining DCTS. When they complete additional years, they'll also complete their employability skills, which we offer interviewing skills and communication skills. Those are 2 additional certifications that we offer for our students. It's good for practice and different things like that, but every student comes out OSHA certified. Within all of these programs, every program has specific industry certifications that they offer, whether it's CPR and AED, your personal training certificate. It could be something in dental assisting and different things like that. We offer so much for our students. So our first school is the School of Health and Biosciences, which is immersing the students in different careers for exercise therapy and sports science, dental technology, emergency and protective services, medical careers, health sciences, and biomedical technology and laboratory sciences. We actually currently work with 7 different hospitals in Delaware County for our medical careers program. Currently, we are a hybrid program, and some of our students are online depending on the school district, which we work with 15 different school districts in Delaware County. And so some of those students are online, but we do work with the 7 hospitals and normally have our students in those hospitals getting real clinical experiences. I should also mention before we go on that all of our classrooms, no matter what program, have a classroom component and they have a laboratory component. So the lab actually matches what the field will look like, which is really cool. So you can see some pictures right there. So for example, our dental technology has 5 different dental offices. They have the full-size chairs. We have 2 real working x-ray machines, and they do all sorts of different things, which is really awesome. Our next school is the School of Engineering and Computer Sciences, which has different computer network technologies. Students are able to work on robotic arms. They're able to work on the Adobe Creative Cloud for our advertising program. Our students are learning about wiring, the different mechanics of computers, and so much more. We have 3D printers and all sorts of latest technology for our students to utilize. Our next school is the School of Construction Technology, where we have 5 programs right here: carpentry, electrical construction technology, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC, and plumbing. We also offer building trades and welding. Welding is actually our newest program recently. It started last year. It was the highest priority occupation for Delaware County, so we were able to bring that back to DCTS. These programs are really cool. I do have to mention a couple really neat things about them. The heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, if you guys ever have the chance to visit our campus, and you are more than welcome to come and visit, as long as we are safe and taking the precautions necessary during COVID right now. But if you ever get the chance to visit, make sure to check out these programs. In heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, in their laboratory, they actually have a mini house that they built inside of their classroom where students are actually getting to work on the air conditioning, the different units and everything. It is 2 stories, so students can actually have the real life experience as if they were going into a house. Building trades kind of combines the first 3 programs, but also introduces masonry. Our next school is the School of Hospitality, Tourism, and Human Services, which is always a fun one. Cosmetology is really cool. The students are not only practicing on mannequins, they're also practicing on themselves. Before we shut down for COVID, we actually opened up our cosmetology programs to the public, where people can actually come in and pay for services done by our senior students. I have actually had my hair cut twice by a high schooler. It does sound a little scary to say that I've had a high schooler, but honestly, they were probably the best haircuts I've ever had. Our students are so well trained, and they actually have the opportunity to earn their state license by the time they graduate with us. They won't have to go on to Venus Beauty Academy or Empire Beauty School or a different school like that, because they're already earning the same certification with us as if they would go to those schools. So they are so well trained. Culinary arts is another fun one. The students are not only making and preparing food, but they're also looking at business sides of things as well. And then we have the early childhood education side, where students are creating lesson plans. We actually, before we shut down for COVID, the students got to work with the Head Start building over at the Aston campus. It's the building right next door. They would work with DCIU and actually get the experience of being inside the classroom and working with students and the adults around them, which is very neat. And our last school is the School of Logistics, Distribution, and Transportation. We have collision repair technology, automotive technology, logistics, and inventory management. These three programs are really cool. They have probably the largest shops out of all of the programs. Collision repair technology, you actually get to experience welding, and we have an entire space dedicated to painting the cars and doing all of the refurnishing on them, which is really neat. They're sanding them, they are replacing them, and learning all the ins and outs on, if an accident were to happen, how they can repair their car depending on the damage. Automotive technology is also really cool. We have dual enrollment opportunities with the Delaware County Community College for our automotive program, where students can actually start earning their college credits while they're in school at the moment. One of our teachers is actually another teacher at the community college, which is really neat. But they're not only just working on the cars that we have, they're bringing in each other's cars, they're bringing in their parents' cars. They also worked on our principal's car at one point and replaced his tires, which was really neat. And then our last program is logistics and inventory management. Our students get forklift certified. They are working with different management skills and styles. So those are all of our programs. You can also find out more at dciu.org/DCTS. There will be a slide at the end that mentions the website. And if this presentation goes out, you will actually be able to click on it and everything and take you to the website. Or if you just Google search Delaware County Technical School, you can find us on the website and learn all sorts of information on our programs. They're all really cool and doing different things almost every day. I have walked into every single one of our programs and I've almost never seen the same thing happening twice. The skills that they learn will be repeated for class to class, but they are doing something new every day of the year, which is absolutely incredible. You get to see the talented things that these students are learning and the industry certifications that they're receiving by the end of the school year. It is valuable lessons that they're learning and that they can take on with them to college or directly into a job, which is absolutely outstanding. If you have any questions on any of the programs, again, check out our website, or you can contact Chris or I at the end of this presentation, or drop your questions in the chat below. And I'm going to pass it over again to Chris to talk about our school to career programs.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. I hope all of you enjoyed Rachel's presentation and those wonderful pictures that she took. You know, since you can't be here in school with us, they say pictures worth 1,000 words. We were hoping through Rachel's presentation that everyone got a little bit more of an awareness as far as what we do at DCTS. You know, I know you saw the typical, you know, trades programs, HVAC, auto, etc. But many of our students are able to earn college credits. And there are some programs that actually prepare students for college. For example, we have a medical careers program, and pretty much 100% of those students go on to college. I do the graduate follow-up survey where I contact the students just to see what they've done since they've graduated. And pretty much every single student parent that I speak to say that their first year of college was a breeze because they learned everything already while they were still in high school. And as we know, sometimes that first year of college, that's a big transition. That can be a make or break year. So if a student already has the confidence and knowledge when they start that first year of college, because they've learned it already in high school, that kind of gives them a leg up on everyone. So that's kind of the awareness that we want to bring, that we're not just for the trades. We do a lot more than that. So I'll transfer back to our school to career programs. We have 3. The first one is job shadowing. That's usually a one-day experience where a student will just follow someone around, kind of watch, see what they do, ask questions, kind of get a little bit of a better idea of what it's actually like to work in that field. Even though in our classrooms, our shops, we do try to replicate what it's like to work in the real world as much as possible. The reality is they're still in there with other students, etc. So this gets them a chance to step outside the classroom and actually spend some time in the place of business. Mentoring is a 2-week experience. It's a little bit longer. It's very similar to job shadowing. It's also unpaid. You just get a little bit more in depth as far as, sharing people's experiences. You might get a little bit more hands-on, just to get a better idea about what the career is all about. And co-op is our last one, and that's the one that most students are interested in. That's where the job site actually takes the place of the classroom. So the way it works here is we have an AM and a PM session. We have all 16 school districts that come to us in Delaware County, and our AM session runs from 7:30 to 10:30. Our PM session runs from about 11:30 until 2:15. So if a student decides to come to us, they may come in the AM, they may come in the PM. So what that means, for example, just a Springfield student, they may come to us in the AM from 7:30 to 10:30. And then once they're done with us, they go back to their home school for their academics. We do not have academics here. We do have a math coach and an English coach, and they help the students with the integrated academics that goes along with the career, but that's why they have to go back to their home school. We take the place of their elective credits, so their home school handles their academics. So the way co-op works is, instead of the student coming here to the classroom, I place them in a job that's related to whatever they'd be learning in the classroom. So for example, an electrical student, I try to talk to them, say, what are you interested in? Are you interested in residential? Are you interested in commercial? Are you interested in industrial? And I place them somewhere that's related to where their interests lie. There are strict guidelines that need to be followed as far as for the student and also for the employer. And the job site takes the place of the classroom. So the expectation is I would provide you with the duty task sheet, which is everything that the students are learning in class. And as the employer, you're expected to take a look at that duty task sheet and see where the student needs some help. And you really want to focus on those things, because the goal at the end of our tech experience is to have the students complete everything that's on the duty task sheet. Do you want to skip ahead, Rachel? Because I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but okay. So here are some student benefits if they choose to do co-op. They can get credits on their transcripts for workplace experiences. If they decide they want to go on to college, that's a great thing to be able to put on a college application if they chose to take advantage of something like this while they were still in high school. Some students stay at their co-op jobs for a really long time. Some don't. They just use it as a stepping stone. But for whatever reason, putting co-op on a job resume and saying that they did this while they were still in high school, that can really give our students a jump ahead of everyone else. And then obviously on the job experiences expands the student's knowledge. Sometimes in the classroom, we can only take the students so far. But if a student is ready for co-op, they go out there and they work with the business, then their knowledge becomes a little bit more expansive. And finally, I think the best thing that this program does is it helps students decide whether or not they want to go into that field while they're still in high school. I mean, I know for myself, I thought I wanted to be an elementary school teacher because I like to write on the blackboard and grade papers. I didn't realize that there was a lot more to it until I actually started doing it. And if I had a do-over, I would have got my certification at the high school level, not the elementary school level. But I was already in college, I was already paying for it, and I had to pick with what I had to live with what I picked. So our students really get an opportunity to try something out before they go on to post-secondary, and start paying money for something that maybe they really don't want to do. We try to get them as much experience as possible. So here are some employer benefits. And that would obviously apply to everyone who's listening today. We really select our students very carefully. We do not just throw any student out there. There's certain criteria they have to meet. We look at, first of all, work ethic. And that means, are they showing up on time? Are they here every day? Are they in uniform? Are they respectful? Are they listening to the lessons? Are they doing the best that they can? We look at knowledge a little bit, but not so much, because everyone's at a different place. We have some students, just for example, auto, they may have a father or an uncle or, someone in their family who works in that field, and, they work with them in the summer. So that student's knowledge, they may have a little bit more. We may have a student who's never worked around cars before. So their knowledge isn't going to be as vast as someone who's been around it. So we're very flexible as far as what the students know, but we really look at work ethic, attendance, discipline issues at both here and their home school. Because if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and we put them out there with an employer, it's probably not going to work out. They just wind up back with us, and we wasted everyone's time. So if you do choose to partner with us, we've kind of done the pre-screening process on these students. Everyone has to sign off on the co-op agreement, someone from their home school, their teacher, their guidance counselor. So we really work hard to try to get you a good student. It fulfills the needs of replace the retiring workforce. I hear it all the time. Everyone is retiring, and with so many students deciding to go on to college, the trades are really in a high demand right now. And the law of supply and demand, when something's in demand, it costs a little bit more. So our students in the trades that are working in co-op are actually getting paid really well right now. Co-op also allows minors to work on equipment that would not be permitted by the Department of Labor and Industry. And I'll give you an example. If a student is under the age of 18 in the auto field, they are not allowed to be under the lift of a car. However, the labor laws say if they are in an approved training program, which our programs fall under that, then they are allowed to be under the lift of a car. Also, under the age of 18, there's only certain hours that students can work. However, if they're under a supervised training program such as co-op, those hours can be waived. So that's a benefit to you also. Some of our students are 18, some aren't. Some are under the age of 18. So if you do choose to hire a student, it gives you the benefit of not having to worry about if child labor laws are being violated or not. And I hear this from employers all the time. You can train students on how your company operates. So that means that sometimes there's a lot to be said for hiring someone with experience, but sometimes those with experience, they want to do it their way. However, these students don't have a lot of experience, so you can train them the way your company does things. They're more open to it because it's new to them. Students can also bring fresh ideas and perspectives to your company. I just went on an interview this morning with a student, and they were trying to get the computer stuff set up so that they could do the questions electronically, and they were having trouble with it. He's like, oh, I'm good with computers. And he jumped in and he got that thing going for them. So I always say that about our students, when it comes to technology, if you want to know something, go ask a student, because they're always very, very good with technology. And also what I do is with our co-op students, I have to go out and visit them once a month. So I take my phone, I do my job site visits, see how they're doing. I take pictures, and we have a cooperative education Facebook page. I believe it's Delaware County Technical Schools Co-op. You can look up. I'm pretty sure it's public.
There'll also be a link at the end of this website.
Okay,
Or end
all
of this
right.
presentation, I should say.
Thanks, Rachel. I haven't
link
looked at
to
this
Facebook.
presentation for a couple weeks, and sometimes it flies out of my head. So anyway, I post their picture on our Facebook page, and if your company has a Facebook page, I also tag your company, and I thank the company for giving the student a chance. And I think that shows good community relations for you as an employer. And it's free, doesn't cost you anything. You know, the community sees that you're willing to help a student, so that's great PR for you. And I think I kind of went through this already. These are the requirements for our school to career program. We also, our students have to have a driver's license and transportation, because obviously they need to be able to get to a job. We do try to work with employers that may be close to public transportation, you know, where SEPTA drops off. And we do have a couple sending schools that will bus our co-op students, as long as it's not too far. So we do try to work with the schools, you know, in public transportation as much as possible. But bottom line is most of our employers would prefer that students have, you know, a license and their own way to be able to get to work. Okay, so you pretty much heard how co-op works. So what do we require for you as an employer? These are all things that are mandated by the state. And, you know, there's nothing that we can do about it. And there's a reason that we have all this stuff. One of the things is someone in your company, and it needs to be the student's direct supervisor, needs to get the same clearances as teachers do. It's the Pennsylvania criminal background, Pennsylvania child abuse, and the FBI. We will pay for you to get your clearances. I think it costs maybe about $60, and it's the way of the world. If you want to volunteer, if you want to coach a sports team, if you want to do work in a school, you have to produce clearances. That's just the way it is right now. And it's also for our student safety. You know, we just want to make sure that since this is an extension of the school, since all of us in the school have to have clearances, we want to make sure that they're safe, because that's our first concern. You must also carry workman's comp and liability insurance. And their paid experiences have to be paid with a paycheck. And that doesn't mean you have to physically write them a paycheck. Direct deposit is fine. What I mean by that is we cannot do under the table payments or 1099. It has to be above board. And the state comes and they check everything. They make sure that, you know, I have a file with workman's comp insurance, with the clearances, the liability insurance, and I have to get a copy of the student's pay stub. You must be able to have the time to train a student. These are high school kids, and typically it's their first experience, you know, taking what they've learned in the classroom and translating it into the workplace. You can't just throw them out there and say, here, do this today. They need to be side by side with someone, you know, who's going to help them and show them what to do. Sometimes students are shy, you know, it's their first experience. They don't know what to do. They don't speak up. So we kind of ask that you hold their hand for a little bit, you know, just till they get used to where they are and they get comfortable. Students must check back in at DCTS every other Friday. And the reason they do that is since they're out working with you, we don't have a way to grade them. So we ask you to fill out a very quick evaluation form just to say how they did while they were working for you. They bring that back to school every other Friday. They also check in with their teacher to make sure they haven't missed anything, because the expectation is, even though they're working, they still have some schoolwork that they have to do. They have to work on their certifications. They have to prepare for our state testing. So that's why we make sure that we get good students for you that have a good work ethic, because not only are they going to be working, they're still going to be responsible for some things at school.
Chris, we have our first question. We
Sure.
actually have two questions. So the first question is, do you get any companies who do not want to have students on site for shadowing through co-op due to additional insurance required for having minors on site and in circumstances working, workman's comp and additional liability riders?
Honestly, I really haven't run into that. Because most of our companies already carry workman's comp and liability. And in fact, what I found with some companies, if we have a student that's under the age of 18, sometimes their insurance will not allow a student to work there, but all of our students come with that OSHA certification. So if they can produce that OSHA certification, then their insurance will come back and say, yes, they've been certified. We know that they've taken safety training. So they will allow a student under the age of 18 to work for them. I think that the way we prepare our students makes a big difference. And also, please remember, just like I spoke about the child labor laws and things like that, there are some things that can be waived because our program is state certified. I guess you could call it almost like an apprentice program, because the expectation is that the students are going to be supervised. So a lot of those strict and rigid things that go along with workman's comp and liability can be waived, just because of the certifications our students have and just because we have an accredited program.
Great. Our next question is, how many companies currently participate in the co-op program?
I would say if I would have to sit down and write a list of all the companies that I've dealt with since 2005, it'd probably be around 50. And that number changes every year. It depends. Sometimes we have more students than we have companies. Sometimes we have more companies than we have students. I can tell you right now with auto, there seems to be a high demand for students to work in the auto field. So I have more dealerships that are looking for students than we have students who are prepared right now. We have certain companies who take students every single year, number of electrical companies. It changes. It depends on what the company's needs are at the time. Sometimes the companies, they're fully staffed, they don't need anyone. So it's one of those things that you kind of have to just go with the flow.
Great. And our last question, can you subsidize payroll for co-op students?
Can you tell me what you mean by subsidize? Do you mean, can you get tax credits?
I'll jump in. I think what this means, is there any opportunities to help cover the
Offset hourly wage.
I'm sorry, say
She
that
said
again.
offset the hourly wage.
Oh, in other words, do we kick in money towards it? Is that what they're asking?
Yeah, are you able to, is there any, are there any grants or dollars that would be able to offset that for the employer?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
From your end, you're hiring a student on a part-time basis. That's pretty much what it looks like. So no, there are no subsidies or anything like that. When the student goes to work for you, they are under your workman's comp, your liability insurance. Again, the benefit to you is that we are pre-screening these students for you, so that you know that you're getting a good student, and also that it helps with the child labor laws, that sort of thing. I also want to mention another thing that we do with our students is all of our students have to complete a portfolio. They do educational research, they do trade journal articles. So when these students go out on interviews, they are prepared with a resume. They learn how to write a resume. They learn how to write a cover letter. I work with them on interviewing skills. And I typically go with the students in the interviews just because I like to hear the questions. Because sometimes there'll be a new question out there that I never heard before. We encourage the students when they go on the interview to make sure they go on a website, look up the company, learn about the company, because the interview is a give and take. The interviewer, wants to learn about the student, what they know, but at the same token, the student needs to show interest in the company and show that they've done their research also. We also encourage students to take pictures of their work, because I found on interviews, sometimes employers aren't really sure what to ask the students, but if they can bring a picture of something that they've done, then that opens up a conversation, whether it's something they've done in their shop and here at DCTS, or something they've done on their own. That helps the employer kind of determine which sort of knowledge they have in this field. So we really try to prepare these students, whether they're going on to work or whether they're going on to college. And I will tell you, I do run into employers sometimes, they seem to want some sort of guarantee that these co-op students are going to stay with them after they graduate. And I totally get it from their end. They're putting a lot of time and effort into training students, and they're hoping that these students stay with them, but there's no guarantees in life. So I usually have to tell employers, if you get a good student, you need to make it worth their while to be able to stay with you, because I can't guarantee that they're going to stay with you once the school year is done.
Great. So these are some pictures of some current co-op students. So you can see the different types of fields that they've been in automotive shops, construction sites, dental offices, exercise therapy and sports, different companies, and computer networking companies as well.
And one of our students, the one down in the bottom right hand corner with the mask on, that is JD Fleming. He's in our auto program. And he started working last year as a junior doing co-op, which is unusual. We usually don't put juniors out on co-op, but JD is absolutely amazing. When Rachel mentioned about the student working on the principal's car, JD was the one that was able to work on the principal's car. So he's currently working at Murphy Ford. I just went down to visit him yesterday, and his service manager shared with me that they just gave him a $2 an hour raise because he's doing so well. He always asks me, you know, do you have any more students like JD? Can we have another JD? And the auto teachers kind of tell me, you know, well, JD's kind of one of those 1 in a million kids. You know, so we really do get some superstars, and our teachers are very, very good about not keeping those kids in class, you know, because if you look at the big picture, that would make their life a lot easier to have the really good kids in class, but they're trying to do what's best for the students, you know, so they do put the good kids out there. You know, so that's kind of a guarantee that we can give you, that if you're interested in this program, we will do our best to make sure that you get a good student.
If I can just ask a question, I couldn't put it in the Q&A, I apologize. Is there a specific industry or type of business that you're looking to reach out to? Do you have an overwhelming number of students that you're looking to place in a certain field?
Yes. Actually, right now, I've been having problems finding spots for our logistics students. And I think what's happening there is sometimes when you deal with bigger companies and you have to go through a lot of layers, you know, they hear co-op, and, you know, HR departments can sometimes be very rigid about things. And I understand it, they have to be. There's rules and et cetera they have to follow. So I would really love to find like some supermarkets, some Dollar Trees, because these students learn how to stock shelves, they learn how to do inventory, that we could place some of our logistics students. We also have an advertising design program where those students learn, you know, Adobe, Illustrator, that sort of thing. There doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities for those students. So I would love to find some programs that would be interested in taking students that are in that field. Most of our trades, you know, we do have a lot of partnerships with them, but just because I'm saying that, don't say, oh, well, no, you know, they're full. That's not true, because, you know, again, I try to match interest. So, you know, some students would rather do residential, some would like to do commercial, some would like to do industrial. So we can always have a need. Oh, another one is a relatively new program, is our exercise science program. We would like to find some more places to place those students. Now, I understand with COVID and things like that, it's going to be very difficult to deal with placing students in the medical field, just because there's so many restrictions in place. You know, but that's an area where I could use some help from businesses and industry. And also, besides just hiring students, there's other ways that you can help us. We have occupational advisory committees, and that's where we ask business and industry to sit in on a committee. So for example, I always use auto just because we have a lot of auto kids. We have people from dealerships and private shops, and what they do is they meet twice a year. They look at the textbooks, they look at the equipment, and they give advice to the instructors as far as what's new in the field, what textbooks they think the kids should be using, what equipment they think the kids should be using, just to make sure that our kids are cutting edge, you know, of all the new technology and all the new things that are happening out there.
Those occupational advisors, sorry to interrupt, Chris.
That's okay.
Those occupational advisory committees are also very important. We receive a couple of different grants throughout the year. The Perkins grant, which is my main responsibility. We also have the equipment grant and the supplemental grant as well. Those occupational advisory committees are required to give us recommendations on new equipment and technology that we should be using. And those recommendations are actually a requirement of the grants. We have to provide proof that the Occupational Advisory Committee recommends this, that they are in need of this equipment, and that it's going to benefit our students as well.
And also another thing you can do, if you don't want to jump into hiring a student, you just kind of want to test the waters. Don't forget we have shadowing mentoring, which means it's unpaid. So we don't have to go through, most of the paperwork, et cetera, that we have to do for co-op. What we're doing this year is one of our portfolio requirements is interview an expert. So since we are virtual, there's some good things to come out of that. We are going to try to get people from business and industry to be willing to set up a Zoom meeting and have the students there, and the students will ask you questions about your field, how you got into the field, and that checks off a portfolio requirement. So as a business, if you own your own business, if you work somewhere, if you'd be interested in sharing your story with our students, since we can do it virtual, that's easy. You can just do it from your desk. You don't have to jump in your car and drive to the school or anything like that. So that's something that we're going to do this year also, that we're going to look for business and industry to help us out with. So there's a lot of different things that we can do besides just hiring a student. Also in the spring, we have a NOCTI test. NOCTI stands for National Occupational Competency Testing Institute. And it's a two-part test. The students have to do an online part, and they also have to do a hands-on part. When we do the hands-on part, we bring experts from business and industry to watch the students do different tasks, and those experts will grade the students. I'm not sure how that's going to work this year. We got shut down last year before we were able to do NOCTI. I don't know if it's going to be live. Usually it is. We give business and industry, we give you guys lunch, we give you a gift for participating. So that's something else where we can always have a relationship with business and industry, is to help out with their NOCTI testing.
Great. Well, if you haven't looked at the screen already, this is our social media platforms and handles. The link right there is the Facebook, or I'm sorry, we have our handle for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our website that takes you directly to the DCTS main page. It is run under the DCIU website. You can find all sorts of different resources. We also, I should mention, an adult program as well. We offer licensed practical nursing, which is very unique and different. And then underneath that is the DCTS co-op page. And then at the very last link is a link to our program guide. So this gets updated every year with new pictures of what our students are doing, the different information. It also showcases every industry certification that is offered for each program, and it provides the different wages for students as well, so they can get a little bit more of an inside look about what the industry looks like, which is really cool. And then our last slide right here is some pictures. These are not co-op pictures, but these are pictures of some of our labs and what the students are doing every day. So you can kind of get a visual representation of the things that we're doing. I am going to mention that the top left picture is actually at Crozier Hospital. So that's not even at a DCTS campus, which is really cool. So these students are doing all sorts of different things every single day, which is super unique. We have the non-traditional fields. We have students that are exceeding our expectations almost every day with the new things that they can accomplish. So we have gone over a lot of different information. Does anyone have any additional questions for us? If not, I do have a couple of extra things to say while you guys are typing. I do want to mention that the school is free for students to attend. The only thing that students really need to pay for is their uniforms and the specific tools that each program requires. We do offer lots of college credit opportunities for our students. We have articulation agreements with currently 11 colleges where students can earn anywhere from 6 credits all the way up to 27 credits, which is absolutely incredible for students to earn. We also partner with the Pennsylvania Department of Education for the SOAR program, which is Students Occupationally and Academically Ready. Students can also earn a minimum of 6 credits all the way up to maybe 18 credits, depending on the school. You can find out that information at collegetransfer.net. So students can apply to different schools. They'll replace the different classes. We also offer dual enrollment opportunities. I mentioned earlier with our automotive program, the Delaware County Community College. We also offer one with Immaculata University for our exercise therapy and sports science and our medical careers program. And we are in the works of actually receiving more dual enrollment opportunities for our other programs for that. And we also just opened up this year, we started a partnership with Widener College, Widener University, for dual enrollment that's open for all students across DCTS. It is not program specific. Some courses like medical terminology are program specific, but there's also general courses like sociology, psychology, and English course, American civilization, different things like that. So students can start earning college credit with our school, which is absolutely amazing. Right now, because we are part virtual and part in class, we started last year. Our application is now virtual, so students do not have to give in paper copies. They do work with their counselors and they submit their application to their counselors, but we now accept them through email, and there's information on our website on how to apply and everything like that, which is really cool. So I don't think it was mentioned earlier about the co-op, but I do want to bring up that I wrote down a question. Are kids allowed to work when our school is on a break or have a day off? Yes, they can. It depends on the company relationship. If you want your student to continue working during the break, if you're allowed, if you're comfortable enough with that, as long as the student has the transportation available, they are welcome to. Like Chris mentioned earlier, there's different ways to get around those laws because it is a different type of program that they are in. So I do want to mention, since I haven't seen any questions from the Delaware County Technical High School, to everyone, we want to thank you for joining us with this presentation. And if you are watching this, not the live version, thank you for watching it as well. We appreciate it. And again, please feel free to reach out, call our school, come and visit. We love showing off the different things that the schools and the students can accomplish. And also stay healthy right now. That's definitely a huge thing that we want to mention to everyone. Our students are doing every necessary precaution to stay healthy at this moment with wearing masks. We have our sanitation. We call them our germ busters that go through the hallways a couple of times a day to sanitize everything and cleaning in between classes. So we are not only using our OSHA certifications, but we are staying safe and staying healthy for all of our students, teachers, and faculty. And again, thank you so much. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so. Just, if you have any questions or you think of something later, please feel free to reach out to us. We love to answer questions.
Thank you. And again, Trish and Jackie from the Delco Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for having us as well. We really appreciated joining this lunch talk.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to partnering with you in the future.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good day.